Committee of the Whole, 7 o'clock agenda is called to order. A roll call, please.
Trustee Williams.
Here.
Trustee Wilson.
I'm here.
Trustee Brooks.
Present.
Trustee McMullen.
Present.
Trustee Payne.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Here.
And Mayor Cutler.
Present. Okay. General public comments. Start with Ms. Trina Johnson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just asked for the board to give me a little leeway here to discuss a very grievous thing that has befallen upon the children here in the village. I'm a part of a community group. We're academic professionals, we're teachers. I'm college, we have people across the spectrum, and we're trying to support our students in the village. It's called Strengthening Our Schools. And a very bad thing has befallen students in this village. I don't know if the trustees know of the history of what's what happened to the students in the Crete-Monee School District. They've been under consent decree since 1998 for disparate treatment and attendance policies and units, and they bear the unfair burden of busing. They were in the news for a student taking a picture with a gun and saying 3 Ku Klux Klan a day keeps the niggers away. They were in the news, for firing their African American superintendent, forced resignation of their high school principal who was black, other black administrators, including a black wrestling coach. And there has been a private investigations agency now that was hired to investigate all the children in the village. They targeted them by socioeconomic status, any and all students living in apartments, any students who had homeless status. They were surveilled with covert cameras, including night vision, cameras that could follow them in grocery stores. They were followed around the community, and they were recorded. And these are minors. They're underage. So what has happened to them, and I have a heavy heart in saying this because I'm a certified advocate. I am a court-appointed special advocate for children. I am a trained, person. I, did the AmeriCorps Chart program where I worked with homeless and near homeless families all across, this country. And for us as black people, there is because of the poverty in our culture, we're overrepresented in that low socioeconomic status. So when we grow up, we have to stay with whoever can afford, to accommodate us. That was my reality, and it's a lot of other people's reality. I myself raised 5 children that didn't come from my body. That's just the cultural reality of our situation. What homelessness is anyone that doesn't have a lease in their name. And there are a lot of students, there are a lot of minors who are in very sensitive situations because of things happening in their household, and they have to be, sent, to other relatives. What has happened to our students is they found 27 students and they flagged them.
Yes, I'm sorry,
Yes.
but they do have a limit of time for everyone that they have.
Okay, well,
Point of order. Is there any way we can make a motion to extend her time by additional?
Because I do understand what you're saying, that would have to go before the board of you, because I do want to hear, and they do need to hear this,
yes.
because we've been involved in meetings.
And
So could we, so can we vote to allow, or agree to allow, anyone want to agree to allow her to have?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to extend
We don't need a motion.
by consent.
Okay.
Yes.
that okay with everyone?
Thank you. I won't be before you much longer. But what has happened was, we tried to do a forum for the parents, to teach them about their rights, as like homeless families, because the McKinley Act protects them. So what has happened is they have found 27 students, and they are subjecting them to hearings where they will fine them $13,000. And there is a possible felony, that's associated, with that. And these are minors. We have no way of knowing who these students, are. And we weren't supported, when we tried to get the word out, for these parents to come. So I'm asking, if the village can support us and help us, to find these students, because we have put together a coalition to, support our students. We have the Chicago Civil Rights Lawyers Group that's willing to advocate for them. We have the Rainbow Push Coalition on board. We have the South Suburban, chapter of the NAACP on board. And I just, ask, for support. And I, just want, you all to speak to why we couldn't be supported when we earnestly needed, that time with these parents to kind of avoid this. And my heart is very heavy, because every student from our village, they contribute $11,500. The Monique, school district gets $11,500 for every student that goes towards, salaries. And I'm just very concerned about the fate of our students. How are they gonna, pay this? How are they gonna survive this process? I just, wanted to get some response from the board, about supporting this matter. And if you have any comments,
I had a question. You mentioned a
questions.
lease for students.
Sir?
You said lease for students.
No, they targeted, the students who were in like apartments, who had leases, and who were homeless.
But wouldn't the parents actually be the ones that signed the lease, not necessarily the students?
Well, I guess, from whatever information they gave the renters, they were looking for, okay, is this child on, like the lease? I just want to throw out there that we don't advocate, if a person is not, living in the district, we don't advocate that students outside the district be able to take advantage, of things that, like the schools and the taxpayer dollars here. We're just concerned that parents understand, what homelessness is. And just because, you're doubled up living with someone, you don't have to hang your head in shame. There are laws to protect you. And, your child does have a right to attend the school if you don't have a lease. So they went after all the kids in the apartments.
Children of parents who could not verify they lived in the.
No, they went after all, like black children in apartments in the village. Every single one of them. And they spent $22,000.
So anybody living in an apartment in the Village University Park, they went after.
Yes. And they were paid $5 per student just to clear them. So in total, they got $22,000 for just, like doing this for the school district. What's problematic about that is the Crete-Monique School District has a very stringent, if you ask any parent who tries to enroll their kid there, they have a very strict, a very strict process. Yeah, that you have to prove residency, and so you don't need this extra stuff. And that was money that could have gone to like counseling, for things like they had a suicide in like the district, like for counseling for students or for books or for something like that.
So what
Trustee.
we want is to do.
Only two can respond.
Actually, in that case, could I continue? I do have a recommendation to make.
Yeah.
One start asking questions. I believe that for the next meeting, you should advertise on Channel 4. I do believe, although we're not showing the board meetings on Channel 4 yet, we do have the capability to post flyers. I'm not sure, I'm sure that we will eventually get the board meetings up and running there too.
Yes.
But in the meantime, for your next awareness campaign, we would highly recommend seeing new cable director and giving them flyer information that could be posted on Channel 4. That would help get the word out.
Okay.
And I think that's something we can do as a village. No, we can't do that?
Yeah,
Madam Mayor,
Trustee Wills, I'm sorry.
the village is prohibited from putting that type of information on Channel 4.
Why we agree with you?
We can have a separate discussion, trustee, and I can send you some of the information. But we've already ruled on that in regards to censoring various information that may take political views or specific
Well,
views.
I don't see how this is a political view. This is a real awareness for a problem that we're having within the Village University Park.
A controversial issue with another taxing body.
Because controversial doesn't make it political.
Sidebar. Trustee Wilson?
A few questions. So you said they found 21 students to be 27 students to be in violation,
Yes.
and there will be hearings.
Yes.
You have a date for the hearings.
No.
A date for the hearing. Who's allowed to attend the hearings? Have the parents been notified? Who are they suing? I wasn't aware that you could sue a minor for being homeless. And what are the recommendations from the coalition from Chicago?
Well, we have to identify those families. We have no way of knowing. Yes, there is, hearings been scheduled. Yes, they have, the people who have been flagged, they have received a letter. We have no way of knowing who
What is
they
the
are.
recommendation from what coalition from Chicago?
The Chicago Lawyers for Civil Rights.
Right. What are their recommendations for SOS to do?
They can represent these students through these hearings if they can be identified.
So if you would ask them what are their recommendations and what can the board or members of the community do moving forward. Okay. So if that organization is unable to get the list of names and the school board members are unable to, I don't understand how come that the attorneys can't get a list of names if they're going to represent the students.
Well, because these are protected minors. And see, this is the whole thing.
So what do you want from the board?
Well, I understand that there has been like some commingling of like, by saying that this is a political issue, that maybe, what, has been presented to us as a group was that the reason that, University Park, did not allow for the promotion of this had to do with like TIF funds owed to the school district. These students have nothing to do with that.
I would agree.
They have nothing to do with that. Where are they going to find $13,000?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time? I want to write that down so I can get some assistance. What was that?
Yeah, it was told to us that the reason that University Park would not support us had to do with the fact that TIF funds are owed the school district, and they didn't want the school district, to come after University Park, by promoting this issue.
And who told you that? Who told you?
This was just something that was presented to our group.
Okay.
So I'm very concerned about these students. You're talking about $13,000 for poor students, who are homeless and a possible felony designation. Where their lives are over before it starts.
Right. Okay. If you could get a recommendation from Chicago Attorneys Group and let us know what it is, we greatly appreciate.
Madam
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would also recommend to try to identify the 27 students that have been, quote, targeted by whatever the school district's actions are. I think that would be a very good place to start. And I don't know, maybe you could have, is the representation going to be free from the?
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know, I mean, maybe that could be advertised,
I-
we're facing this issue.
I do have a
Because I know you're gonna say, hey, look, this could be a political issue, but we also have, I think it's the Constitution that everybody's entitled to a free education, a free public education. I'm not, don't quote me on that one. I'm pretty sure that is in the Constitution of Illinois. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But it could be. But I'm not 100%, so don't quote me.
And I'm very, I would like to understand, you're saying these students are being charged with felonies?
This is,
Because this would not fall under the category of anything criminal. This is, all would be civil procedure, so it wouldn't fall under any criminal law. And it would not be the student that is charged with any crime. I understand what you're saying. There's certain cases that have happened where parents have been charged with crimes as far as theft of public funds for having students being, in other school districts and not have residency, but that never is towards the child. It's always towards the adult or the guardian of the household. So it wouldn't be a child labeled with that. If 201U goes to that level, which based on what I'm hearing, I don't think they're even breaching that. But that would not be held against the student in their record, just for clarification.
well, given,
All right, thank you.
these students are up against a lot of, what have you, we can't,
All right, we got that.
they're getting arrested and, they're getting charged with felonies, just for, like misconduct, in like the schools. This is the problem that we're having.
Okay, Ms. Johnson, what we're gonna do, we'll meet with you and talk to you, Mr.
I would tell you, I'm thoroughly interested in what you're saying, and I'd be more than happy to set up time to meet with you.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, Trustee Brooks and myself are actually planning to meet with the chief and deputy chief of the Crete Police Department, because that's who has jurisdiction at the high school, so I know what you're referring to.
Yeah.
The University Park Police Department does not have jurisdiction at that school, but we are planning to set up a meeting with the chief and deputy chief of the Crete Police Department, specifically addressing University Park residents and being charged with crimes. So that is in the near future. And Trustee Brooks did bring this up to me almost about 3 weeks ago.
Thank you, and we will get back with you. Thank you so much, Ms. Johnson, for
Thank you.
bringing this to our attention.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
time.
what you're doing. Ms. Deborah Strauss?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Board, President, Clerk. It saddens me to hear what Ms. Johnson just spoke of, because the youth of the community are our future. So I hope there's some resolvement that comes out of this. In the meanwhile, just as I had mentioned at the last board meeting about the food pantry, which I found out ended up taking care of 391 people that actually attended that food pantry.
Very good.
3 people at the job fair got on-the-spot jobs that same day. And I preface by saying that because since then, last week, I attended the University Park Library for their Cotton Club in the Box free event. Missed you, Mayor, because I remember one year, I think we were part of the Supremes or
Yeah, we
something.
were.
Okay. So, I just want to bring to the attention that there are some things going on in this community that residents perhaps would, could, or should take advantage of, while we do have them. Favorable things. That Cotton Club event, they're going to have it every last Wednesday in March. So, God willing, I'll be at the next one. But in the meanwhile, there's also another free event that takes place at Thornwood House. Every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, there's free line dancing for an hour. Some of us that sit in front of TVs, an hour wouldn't hurt us to exercise. But I would just like to encourage any resident in the community, take advantage of any favorable free event that we have in the community. You know, often we keep hearing there's nothing going on in University Park. And my God, that Cotton Club event, there were people there of all ages, all ages. The parking lot was full on a rainy Wednesday night. And we just need to start taking advantage. I don't know if they've got CDs available, but the jazz between the Creek Money Band, between Tracy, it was an awesome event. Just want to pass that on. I know they've got a mini Ravinney coming up, so maybe we can join in on that. The date of mini Ravinney, I don't know,
Sometime in the
but the flyers come to
July.
everybody's house. I know it's in July
It's in the
sometime.
newsletter, they have a newsletter.
Right. They've got the newsletter that comes out. It's kind of disappointing to not see people take advantage of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the positive announcement. Ms. Deborah Taylor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have a few things I want to say, so if I need a minute extension, I hope I can get it. First of all, count back, that was like 10 seconds. All right, so, I didn't get a chance to read the public comment sheets, so therefore I'm really not aware, so if I miss something on the policy, because I probably won't read it until I get home tonight, then please excuse me. First of all, I did want to give out kudos to several entities in reference to Aqua and dealing with that situation and as far as giving us, putting out the increase in our bills and things like that. There's several entities that need to be appreciated regarding that. I know that Trustee Williams and Trustee Brooks were also part of this as far as making sure that we weren't like maxed out as far as the increase in our bills. But there were also other entities involved. CCC was involved in that for an extended period of time regarding that, and they need to be acknowledged. And also, there was an APA committee where I was a part of it, and I think, Betty, you were a part of it, and several other people, and those acknowledgements, we just need to go for it. Also, kudos again, as Deborah Stroud was saying, to the library. I wanted to, you all know, I looked at the mailer, I compared that mailer to what's going on, activities and recreation that's going on in other libraries and other communities. And I want you to know that our librarian and our library staff, they're doing an outstanding job. If you look at that mailer, we have information from preschool all the way to something for adult education. So they're doing a fantastic job. They have recreation, fine arts, and educational opportunities. So I just want to say kudos to our librarian, and excellent job there. Also, police and fire department promotions that were given there. FYI, for your information, I also looked through information at Prairie State College, their brochure, and they have a career prep at Prairie State Colleges for ages, I think it's 17 to 24, and I'm going to give the manager that information. It's called H2H High School. They're looking for high school students to start taking classes for careers in healthcare. And that phone number they're saying to call is 708-709-3750. And they're really looking for high school students. I think this is an excellent opportunity. So when the young lady was talking about, Ms. Johnson was talking about, saving our youth in essence, this is one thing that we can really turn them on to, that they may be able to get some assistance, even financial assistance, in starting those careers early. The last thing I want to say, and yes, I'm reiterating, and I will continue to reiterate this point. I'm coming back once again, and I'm not the only resident to talk about the fact that monies are going forward. The trustees made a decision that you guys would have money allocated for your training. And once again, I'm coming and I'm saying that I'm not in favor of that, and I will continue to say that because you do make $12,000 monthly, and if there's a dispute on that, please correct me. And I feel like we are in a dire strait financially, and so therefore you may have to find another means of getting your training. Webinars have been said over and over again. I have not heard anyone say they even investigated the possibility of being trained through a webinar. Might want to really look into that and investigate that. In the meantime, since we still have those conferences and workshops going on, and I understand that, I think Trustee Williams just came back from one of those. As residents, seeing that we are in dire strait and that that money is being used for training. I'm going to give the manager something indicating what probably needs to happen regarding these professional development workshops. I don't know if the application is being completed, but I do know when I was teaching that we had to fill out an application before we went on a workshop and it had to be approved. I do know we had to state our purpose and how the community at large is going to benefit from participation in the workshop. We had to give a detailed written report and it was to be filed, and we had to give a verbal detailed report including all expenses that were paid while we were on this activity, whether it was in-state or out-of-state. We had to report to the public at that next, or report to our teachers, so I'm saying report to the public at the next village meeting upon the return of the official that attended, and give a written plan, which is what we did as teachers. But I think it's relevant here, a written plan or verbal explanation of how that information that you obtained at that workshop is going to be utilized to improve the village. And then there needs to be ongoing documentation on the progress that we're making towards that goal. So yes, I am going to submit this to the village manager for your review, and perhaps you can discuss this in executive session. The last thing, in case I do have to get an extension, please give me just another minute, because we had a meeting last night of Town Homes of Brunson Oaks, and in that meeting, our residents had many concerns. One of the concerns was safety, and then the other one was with the streets. Again, I want to be redundant again, but we were talking about the pothole situation. We were told by our president of our association, Trustee Liz Williams, that she has been coming to you guys about this situation in executive session, and that she will continue to come and present this to you guys. And we wanted to know what was the update and the status of that, since you guys are well aware. Thank you. May I give this to the manager now? May I give this to the manager now? Is that appropriate?
Yes, you ask for permission.
Attached to this is about that high school senior class that they.
Okay, trustee, McMullen, and then trustee Oscar Brown.
Yeah, let me clarify something for you, please. All right. Okay. Thank you for bringing your concerns to the board. No, it's not $12,000 a month for anybody up here.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Let's correct that.
No, it's,
Let me correct that. I'm so sorry. Yeah, because I know better than that. Much over the head.
Okay.
You should correct me right then and there. 1,200.
no.
No.
Let me say, for
What
the,
is it?
for the freshman trustees here, $1,000 a month.
Okay.
You know, and the other trustees, the senior trustees, and the other officials get way beyond that a month. It's been staggered, our pay, so it's been staggered. So let's clarify that, please.
Okay, I understand. I don't want to go back and forth. I just wanted to say that even with that, with our community, and we're constantly talking about the
No, Mr. People can respond.
Okay.
No, he asked.
Well, I was just,
Yes, he did. No, he did.
I don't get what about
Oscar Brown did.
Yes. Recently, to Brianne, Trustee McMullen's point, for the trustees that were just recently elected, shortly after the current trustees election, the salaries were reduced for trustees. So Trustee McMullen and Brooks and I believe Williams received an amount less than that we do due to a decision by the board to reduce trustee salaries. So that is something that I would point out, and maybe that's something we will rectify one of these days.
I didn't understand.
I said maybe we will rectify that soon with the next election. As far as I can say, because I did support the training dollars, I can speak for myself personally. I will not take advantage of the training dollars I've been allocated both for this current fiscal year and most likely the next fiscal year. I did that in particular for the newest trustees, and I'm going to point out in particular both McMullen and Brooks as people who should take advantage of the training session. They should learn as much as they can. They're going to be here for 4 years, 2 years minimum depending on the outcome of elections after some of the trustees are up here, won't be here. So they should try and learn as much as possible on their own end, lean on us and all the other board members for advice. So that is the reason why I support it. It is necessary for trustees to be trained and know as much as possible. And I will also say this, be inspired by some of the training that they can and should go to. In my opinion, I have recommended some training that some of the trustees should go to. I'm not sure if the University of Illinois still has it, but when I was a newer trustee, it was recommended to me that I should train that in leadership training. Actually by our mayor, she was a trustee at the time, that I should attend that. Very helpful, going through Lincoln on leadership. I still read Abraham Lincoln things to this day. So it is a good idea for trustees, especially the newer trustees, to attend these trainings. And I will say you do gain valuable information and insight by going to these trainings. Especially I will speak on the National League of Cities in particular, to hear different perspectives from different people from all over the United States that does the same job that you do, or has a staff person that does a job similar to the jobs that our staff does. And to hear from different perspectives how they deal with various issues and problems is also invaluable, something that you may not get in class. So for those reasons, I highly recommend, and I will recommend it to both Brooks and McMullen in regards to the training that they should most likely.
Thank you, trustee.
I understand.
You got 3 minutes as well.
Real quick. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, 3 minutes, point of order, we can't go back and forth, sorry.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes.
Yes, so you cannot go back.
Exceeded the 30-minute,
Yes.
we're now at 40 minutes for.
I'm sorry. I was
No
down,
problem, that's why I had to cut the trustee off as well, thank you. All right, no, we don't have any more. You didn't sign in.
I just got reminded.
This point of order, we have a 30-minute thing, so if you'd like to talk to us afterwards, fine. But we're trying to keep order though, nothing against anyone, please don't take it personal. All right, we're going into our agenda, business discussion items 5A1, discussion of ordinance of the Village of University Park, Willow County, Illinois, amending the Title 6 of Part 14 of the codified ordinance of the Village of University Park, implementing a crime-free housing program. Open for discussion. Okay.
Mayor, just a couple of comments.
Sure.
Because this was brought before the board before. I think it's a good idea. However, one of the things that we concluded, and the manager was good enough to provide his insights as well. We tabled this because we said that we need to have a public hearing, first of all, with all of the representatives from the apartment complexes to provide input before any legislation was finalized.
Okay, so we should do that.
Right, we should have that at a time where they can attend also. We also, because of the provisions, and so that we just don't have something on paper, said that in order to enforce this, we need to have budget money to do this. You need money in code enforcement, you need administrative and police related